I'll introduce myself. I'm Dharak. I'm with InMobi. I am from San Francisco, so I'm one of those people who has come from abroad. Yeah, I wanted to introduce the panelists. We're here to talk about some of these strange markets that we operate in. Of course, I live in the U.S. We have U.S. and EMEA as big markets. Everybody operates there, but the world is bigger. There's more population in other places. So it's interesting to to operate in those and grow apps. So I will hand it over to the panelists to let them introduce themselves. Dor.
You're the first one? Okay. I thought we were going...
Oh, we'll go that way. Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Do you have a mic?
Way to hand off your intro.
I have the first question, I think. So
Thanks.
I thought we'd be after the intro.
My name is Oded. I'm the CEO of Party Poopers, Israeli game studio. We launched our first game called Room and a Half about 6 years ago. It was a very successful Israeli game, downloaded by millions of Israelis, and then made it big in the worldwide with tens of millions downloaded, especially in the Middle East.
Hi, my name is Sara. I'm the director of marketing at IceCon. IceCon is a B2C mobile app, Android only. That's a phone dialer and visual caller ID. My journey with IceCon actually started over 5 years ago, where I was the only marketing person on the team and built the app from 5 users to 10 million plus downloads through a lot of A/B testing, trying to find the right geo channel and iterating on it. And then I took a break from IceCon and came back about a year ago as the director of marketing, where IceCon itself is in a very different place than it was before in terms of both growth and monetization and going and growing with that. You have a mic.
I have a mic. Hey everybody, my name is Nicole. I'm the VP of Growth at Carry1st. I've been in gaming my entire career, many years, since 2007. Started my career in real money gaming, spent time with Party Gaming and 888. Later on transitioned to Zynga, where I spent 10 years. Started as a product marketing manager and grew my way to the VP level. I've worked on live games, I've launched games, I've worked with the biggest IPs in the world, such as Harry Potter and Game of Thrones, and gained a lot of experience in social casino, but also casual. Today at Carry1st, we are the largest social gaming publisher across Africa. We provide full-stack solution, publishing full-stack solutions specifically for the African continent. We offer anything from localized user acquisition tactics, local distribution, community, offline events, creative strategy, working with local influencers, and we also solve for monetization in the market, which we'll talk about in a little bit. It's great to be here. Thank you all.
Also, you hired you all, so.
And I hired you all.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Dor Isseroff. Been in the mobile industry for over a decade now. In the last 2 years, I'm part of Tango. Tango is a live streaming social platform with over 12 million monthly active users, above 500,000 paying users, above 500,000 content creators. We operate worldwide in some very, very strange markets that you might have, that my fellow panelists work as well. And yeah, very happy to be here. It's very exciting to see all the people that stayed late for us.
Awesome, awesome, thank you. So the first question is, what are the challenges to growing in the specific markets? You talked about some strange markets, right? What are the specific challenges that you go through when you try to grow in those markets, and like what percentage, how do you get the bigger percentage of the pie? How do you get the app to grow?
So in Tango, we split our users into, let's say, two buckets. We have the content creator bucket, where users come to Tango to earn a living and actually make money. Those markets are usually third-tier countries like Nigeria, Colombia, Ukraine, Russia, all those countries that People are struggling to earn the day-to-day, and they come to us in order to earn a living. And there, the growth has been quite viral. We only started doing paid marketing in the last 1 or 2 years. The company, by the way, was founded already in 2009 as a messenger and then pivoted into live streaming in 2018. And the other bucket that we have is our viewers. And the viewer bucket is mostly tier 1 countries, US, Europe, and so on. And our biggest challenge, and this is where we put a lot of thought into the content recommendation, and I swore that I wouldn't use the word AI on this panel, so we don't use AI, we use machine learning. And we try to match the right content with the right user, and this is a big challenge to us to identify, because Tango is a live company and everything happens in real time, as opposed to the TikTok model where they show you the first instance a few videos, and based on that try to find the best content to show you. Here we have the challenge that we do not control when our content creators choose to go live. And then a US viewer that comes online and wants to consume content, then we need to see if he's interested in Nigeria or Colombia or Egypt or et cetera, et cetera. And this is a big challenge for us. And therefore, we try to use a lot of our, I wouldn't say secret sauce, is to use local influencer agencies and work with boots on the ground that really understand the nuances of the local markets and how is it best to approach them, where to advertise them, what should be the right messaging for them, what's important for them, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, that's pretty fascinating, right? Having primarily non-English speaking countries produce content for English speaking countries, right? So that's a big challenge. So I'm sure, yeah, you use a lot of machine learning. It's kind of like you like the older child better than the younger child, which is the AI. Good. What about you, Oded?
Actually, we're very viral in the Middle East. 80% of our 40 million downloads are from the K factor, but our challenges are, as every gaming company or publisher, CPI versus LTV and CPMs. CPMs are quite low in the Middle East, so we need to keep it profitable, and because of our viral factor, it is profitable. Also, there's a language barrier. We are very strong with Arabic-speaking countries, and it's not our native language, but we do use outsourcing for it, and our games have a very crude humor to it. That didn't work in the US, although we had a lot of support from Apple and Google. It didn't stick, but in the Middle East, it blew up. So that was quite a surprise for us. Actually, Arab-speaking countries played the game in Hebrew. Tens of thousands played it in Hebrew. That was also surprising. And one thing that worked for us was it went viral on YouTube, and many influencers showed the game to millions of people. So every game we launched hit it right away. So it was a great fun and surprising way to make it
That's
less challenging.
That is interesting. What about you, Sara?
So our growth and hyper-growth actually started in India. Also, like Oded was saying, a lot of it, we have a really strong K factor, and it was very quickly, organically growing through 90% organic growth. And then from India, we've reached out organically. We've grown into Pakistan and Bangladesh, the surrounding areas where people are naturally sharing and using the app. Also, kind of what you were saying about YouTube, we have the concentrating influencer marketing campaigns that we've tried to do have not been super successful, but we actually organically have hundreds of videos of people that have posted about EyeCon on YouTube, some with millions plus of views that have led to really good growth, which are more just kind of explainer apps about our app that people are putting up for whatever reason, and then naturally leading to really a good growth channel for us. One of the biggest challenges of places like India, Pakistan are monetization, and I know that we'll get more into that in another question, but it's definitely something that we work on a lot and is definitely a focus for us. And as we continue to grow and scale, we're looking into more blue oceans. Also, India right now, we have really big competitors with very big budgets that we're competing against. And so we're looking for new geo-expansion kind of opportunities, like very small Eastern European countries where nobody's really there, and it's also a small market that we can deeply penetrate to then understand what happens when we totally take over a market and use that as a use case for more, kind of tier one kind of countries that we can go into after.
That makes sense. So you do have a plan to get into tier one countries at some point.
So we definitely are planning on tier one countries, but I would say it's more of a 2025 plan, not a 2024 plan.
Makes sense. I'm hearing a lot of virality, which is good. What about you, Nicole?
Well, if Africa has something, it's challenges, that's for sure. In recent years, we've seen significant mobile penetration on the continent. I think COVID really helped accelerate mobile penetration on the continent, leading to a very young audience that is connected on their mobile devices. However, these are not the mobile devices that we're used to, and there are some unique challenges that you won't see in Tier 1. Some of those challenges are low-end devices, memory storage, accessibility. Internet is expensive. Players don't just download every game that they see an ad for. They're very strategic and very calculated about which games they download, and they really need to build trust with the games that they download in order to justify it. In addition to that, one of the big challenges in Africa is monetization. I'm sure most people don't know this, but less than 4% of people on the continent have access to credit cards. So you really need to find a localized approach when it comes to monetization. And that's one of the solutions that Carry1st has developed. We offer local payment methods that publishers can either integrate directly into their products or stores, or they can come to our shop, which is web-based, and purchase gift cards, vouchers to the games that they love. And by the way, not only games, we do offer other goods within the store. A few more challenges, and I've kind of heard it in other panels throughout the day, but it's knowing your audience. As a marketer, you can't take a game to market if you don't know who you're marketing to. And let's be honest, we don't know our African players. There are many, many countries in Africa. There are significant changes even from city to city within the same state. And so you need to have a unique understanding of the audience, and you need to find authentic ways to connect with them. What becomes very challenging for global publishers who clearly don't have the knowledge, don't have the local teams, the expertise, and the funds to really go deep on this. And then lastly is distribution. Distribution in Africa is different than anything I've ever seen. And like I said, again, it changes even from city to city, not necessarily country to country. You cannot rely purely on user acquisition. It's not going to work if you really want to penetrate the market. And so you need to have a unique understanding of distribution and a partner that can really help you crack the potential. Despite of all these challenges, there are definitely solutions, and I'm sure that maybe I'll expand a little bit now. But like I said, we offer a payment solution that solves for local monetization. When I joined Carry1st, I was under the assumption that, people in Africa, they probably can't afford to pay for games, and they probably don't have mobile devices, but that is not the case at all. People can afford to play, they love to play, they consume a lot of content. Their biggest problem is that they can't pay with their local payment methods. So if you give them that opportunity, you can definitely unlock for monetization. And a few more things that Carry1st offers to kind of address those challenges are localized expertise on all of the different channels, whether it's localized UA, we work locally with a lot of influencers. In the last year alone, we've reached 20 million Africans through our influencer program. And we've also developed the largest gaming community in Africa called Tribe that currently has 450,000 players and is rapidly growing. So yes, there are challenges, but a lot of opportunities that come with it. And I believe I'll be talking about opportunities shortly.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I was like, you explained a lot of challenges, right? If you have so many challenges, why go into a market, even build something for that market if it already has challenges? Or maybe like, you know, when you're doing a prototype testing, sometimes you will realize that, oh, that perhaps does not really, there's not enough. Is the pie big enough? Is the juice worth the squeeze, how we say it in the US? So is it?
I think it will be. It is still rather early. I feel like the market has not fully been cracked yet. But when thinking about Africa, and if any of you have, you know, games or other apps that you want to find new ways to grow, Africa is definitely a place to consider. Just a couple of interesting facts that I was kind of amazed myself when I learned it. The most important thing about Africa is population. You have 1.4 billion people living in Africa today. That is 17% of the world's population. By 2050, they're going to be 25% of the global population. I think that on its own is a good reason to have your eyes on Africa and potentially invest locally in the market. A lot of the audience in Africa is extremely young. Your median age is 19 years old. So if you think of your typical gamers, you know, your Gen Z, your millennials, in Africa currently, you have more Gen Z and millennials than the United States and China combined. And these audiences are mobile first. They are young, they have mobile devices, they consume content, they love to play games. They may not have as much money as people have in tier 1 countries, but if you find the right way to monetize and think of the exponential number of the population, that paints a really, really interesting picture and why you should actually invest in Africa. Another interesting fact is by end of 2024, the African gaming market is expected to generate $1 billion in revenue without doing much. We've seen in social gaming across Africa, we've seen 7 times growth in the past 10 years with 0 UA and a lot of suppressed demand. So the potential is there. You just need to find a way to unlock the potential and come up with solutions.
Well, that's fantastic. So you talked about some population numbers, right? So you convinced us to look at Africa. Now I'm going to go over to Sara and ask her, because she has a market that also has the same population, actually more. India, I mean, proud or not proud, but it's a 1.6 billion people in just one country. And when we look at that, it kind of will give you the view, what Sara will talk about, could perhaps give you a view of what is to come for you, because you've already decided, because that is exactly the journey that India went through 5 years ago, 7 years ago, right?
Exactly.
So Sara, what is your viewpoint today? Is the juice worth the squeeze for the India market for you, or should Nicole even be worried about Africa?
So I'm going to say yes, and also you convinced me that I'm going to take another look at Africa as, you know, kind of a new geo.
We can help.
For more opportunities. Because, and I think the reason why it's definitely worth it is because, kind of like you mentioned, there's that hyper growth, that room to really capture the market in a time before it's maybe mature, because a lot of the challenges that we had 5-6 years ago are very different than the challenges we have now. Now, right, like I mentioned, India is a red ocean. When we started, it was more of a blue ocean that made that growth possible. And we also now, you know, kind of by starting in India when we started, we have a really good user base right now that we have them, and they're loyal users that have been around for years, and also for the organic growth that I mentioned, that still is something that is happening, while being able to grow within neighboring countries as well. So that being said, I definitely think it's worth it, but I think that there's, you know, kind of going beyond just one market and one focus, and having that diversification is really important part of scaling up as well, which is why we've been doing that. Maybe for the past few months, we started more. Okay, we really want to work on scaling out into other countries, Eastern European, maybe Latin America is the two regions that we're really focusing on for 2024. And then, Dharak, like your question, kind of tier one is what comes next for us after we've kind of gotten the base and also the learnings from the tier two, tier three countries.
That is very interesting, by the way, because everybody starts out in North America because everybody pays. People have a lot of time, a lot of money, apparently, and this is a good side. So, coming to you, what do you think?
I want to just add a small anecdote about India. For us at Tango, we were I wouldn't say lucky, but the stars aligned for us that our biggest two competitors are Chinese, Bigo and TikTok. And very luckily for us, the Indian government decided to ban those apps in India, and that really, really helped us skyrocket.
Sometimes politics helps.
Exactly. So I can say about complicated things about how we integrated local payments like UPI and worked with local influencers. But at the end of the day, I need to say thanks to the Moody and.
He won again yesterday. So.
Exactly. That's very good for us and. Moreover, what we did in India is that we doubled down on this market and partnered with the Versi group. They have Josh and Daily Hunt, and they provide kind of the short videos since we're only live, and they provide the short videos. So we came up with a more suitable competitive offering to our dear friends from TikTok, which I see some of them in the audience.
It is also very interesting because we, InMobi, our company also has a B2C side, and we have a platform called Glance in India and Indonesia. Glance is, it's a pun because it's, again, a platform like TikTok, but it's on lock screen. You don't have to unlock your phone. You just glance at your screen and you start swiping the content. We have about 400 million users in India now. We also grew because of that, so we also thank Mr. Modi. So, because, of course, but there was intense competition, and we grew as a market as well, as a product in that market as well. So a follow-up question to you is around the monetization, right? Because now that we kind of talked about different types of challenges, this opportunity of the market, now going a step deeper into it, right? Like, what do you think, like, how do you monetize your users? Now we know that juice is worth the squeeze from an opportunity standpoint. Is it worth the squeeze from making money? Because we're all in the business of making money.
So actually on our side, we empower the content creators to earn a living, and we distribute money inside those countries. We distributed over, I would say, $80 million last year.
Wow.
To emerging markets such as Africa, India, Colombia, etc. And not only that we push the content creators to earn a living by live streaming, we also push them to open agencies on top of it. So to actually take their profession and make it a business. And by pushing them to doing so, they go and recruit more content creators under their umbrella, and they do revenue share with them and with us as well. And the actual monetization happens by the first tier countries consuming this content. So we move a lot of money around between US, Europe, and MENA towards those markets.
That's so you're basically building something like an Amazon where the sellers recruit other sellers and start building those programs, right?
Correct.
So tomorrow I'll see some ads in the US where they will say, "Oh, you want to become a Tango user or an affiliate of Tango."
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
Fun.
And we believe they can do a much better job than we do, despite the fact that we are 450 employees in 5 global offices. At the end of the day, a Nigerian local broadcaster knows how to recruit much better, what is the pain points,
Right.
and why they should join Tango much better than us. And this is why we give them all the tools and even funding to do those local advertisements.
And one question, this is my personal curiosity for you, is when you move money across these countries, right, there's a lot of global payment challenges, Forex challenges and stuff. How do you manage that? Do you even do Bitcoins and stuff, or are we not touching that?
So you see me now with 50% energy because I just landed at 4 a.m. from Amsterdam. We attended Money 2020, which is one of the biggest fintech conventions. And yeah, I think that Tango, apart from the fact that we are a live streaming platform, we are also, I would say, a fintech platform. We work with over 30 partners that help us move the money around. Obviously, there is cross-border challenges, FX, I wouldn't go into VAT, GST, all those all that stuff of the gig economy, but indeed this is a major part of our offering and platform, and we allow the one of our USPs is that the content creators can actually cash out daily. So every $15 they make, they can cash out. And as I said, in India we work with UPI, in Brazil we work with Pix. And I just finished a few meetings with local Nigerian and Kenya providers, Flutterwave, if you know them, to enable payments there. And this is a very big challenge that we have. Yeah. And it's crucial for our growth in those markets.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. What about you, Sara? How do you see that? Do you also have IAPs, or is it more monetizations through ads?
So our monetization, I would say, is completely the opposite of yours. For the first year and a half that EyeCon existed, we were pre-monetization. It was all about hyper growth. And so monetization was, by definition of that model, built in a different way. Once we kind of establish, and we have millions of users and millions of loyal users, that EyeCon is on your phone every time that you get a phone call, end a phone call, you get EyeCon and it launches automatically. So we have been monetizing primarily through ads. And testing that also in the regions that we have. People don't really mind ads, is what we found. We expected, when we started to have ads, we expected to see a major drop off in usage, and we actually didn't see that. That being said, there are some regions also when it comes to even ad monetization that are better than others, right? So I kind of have mentioned organic growth a lot, that we've organically grown in Bangladesh. There even, the ad monetization margins are not necessarily what we would want it to be, and is a challenge, even to monetize in that. As we're growing, and becoming more mature in our monetization. Premium is something and premium subscriptions is something that we are turning our focus to in the second half of 2024, which goes along with looking at different markets as well that are more willing to pay and giving them a reason to pay. Right now, our subscription offering isn't really very mature. It doesn't have a lot of real reason other than get rid of ads. But we are planning on really developing that into an offering that has actual real value to users.
That is interesting. I saw a presentation today which classified users into buckets like whales and kraken and plankton and all that. I was very intrigued by some of the names they used. So you have a lot of planktons apparently. People do not mind watching those ads, which is good. I mean, that's what I would expect. It's good for us. Yeah, and people have a lot of time in India. And I can say that. But what about you, Oded? How does your monetization work, especially since you talked about CPI and CPMs?
Yeah, actually we use primarily ad monetization. We try to keep it as creative as possible. We use rewarded interstitials, that's ads that incentivize the user by giving him in-game currency and power-ups, and it works pretty well. We saw a 30% revenue raise in revenue when using those ad units, and we test our frequency frequently because too much frequency leads to churn and uninstalls. So we do keep it balanced all the time, and luckily people in the Middle East love ads when they're targeted right, so we don't see any retention loss by using ads. And we try to make the IPs part bigger and bigger by incentivizing also the user to with bundles and everything. but ad monetization is our main business.
That makes sense. And do you use all kinds of creative formats? Is it a certain type of format that you're more leaning towards just to make sure you have a good balance?
Our bread and butter is interstitials, and we try to keep it as balanced as possible. But what do you mean by creatives?
So when I say creative, it's more like different types of ad formats, right? Like, do you
Yeah.
do banner, display video?
We don't use banners because we're in landscape and our game doesn't support banners. If we'll use banners, it will ruin the experience. But we use app open units. That's a very good ad unit. We learned that from we're in close relations with AdMob, and they talk with us every quarter about new ad formats, and we implement them, and we are very successful with new ad units that they produce. And in terms of creative, like I said, it's incentivizing the user. It's looking into his inventory and giving him the right proposal to watch rewarded ads, and that worked pretty well for us.
Yeah, because I remember we were talking earlier today, and we were talking about the exchange and header bidding and monetization and all that, and because InMobi also has an exchange, so we had discussions about that just in general, and I remembered you talked about some unique creatives, the experiences that we don't support apparently, so I learned something from you as well today.
Yeah, in-app bidding is completely taking over right now. I think in our waterfall, regular units are going, they're very low in impressions and revenue, but in-app bidding is going pretty strong right now. And actually, I wanted to say about the last question, about the potential.
Sure.
I think one of our biggest potential is peace, actually. So let's hope for that.
Well,
it seems far away, but let's
hope.
Yeah.
Comes sooner rather than later.
I wanted to, it's what you were saying about the different ad formats, and it's really interesting and important, the different audiences of different apps. We, as another app that is mostly monetizing through ad monetization, interstitials and rewarded ads is something that we have in our app and actually doesn't perform very well. And it's, I think, because of the intrusiveness of the experience, and caller ID and a dialer app is very different than gaming apps. And we find that adaptive banners, especially recently in the new ad formats, is what performs best. And kind of that mixture of wanting to not harm retention and the user experience while doing monetization is finding that balance and knowing your audience.
Makes sense.
I also, I think that rewarded videos are a part of engagement. So when you have strong engagement, rewarded videos perform well. Also rewarded interstitials, because interstitials are just friction.
I think it's also, it depends on the type of user experience you have, or the gameplay, so to speak, right? For EyeCon, it does not make sense to, what are you going to reward them with an extra unlock of someone's phone number? It's kind of weird, right? You can't do that. So, you have to have banners, sort of an experience thing. So switching gears to one other thing that I'm intrigued about, and is when we heard a lot about different kinds of markets, right? These are all unique markets, unique countries. How do you sort of execute in these markets? Do you have boots on the ground? Do you just operate virtually? I mean, yes, of course, the world is virtual, but look at us. InMobi has zero representation in Israel. I'm the only person who is here just for 2 days, first time ever, right? So we're gonna also, I've realized in these 2 days that we need to be here. We need to have more people in here. So the same thing, right? What about you? Like, we could start with Nicole. Maybe like, how do you execute, especially in a country like Africa?
Yeah, it's a unique challenge. I think what works really well for Carry1st is at the executive level, we definitely have industry veterans, but we have to hire locally. We have to stay authentic to our audience, and we have local teams on the ground that are brilliant. They're extremely creative. They are very smart. they simply lack the experience of working for a mobile company. And we have the opportunity as a company, it's actually part of our mission to invest in the continent and provide opportunities for the young generation there to help them to become, a tech industry. So I would say it's definitely a great combination that works really, really well for us.
That's pretty cool. And what about you, Dor?
I think very similar to what Nicole just said. When we start and we try to penetrate a new market, we try to have boots on the ground, and usually it starts with one or two consultants remotely. Then we go into WeWork, and then from there try to open even an entity if it's large enough. At the end of the day, there's no. We didn't succeed in any market without having local consultants there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think one of the other curious questions either of you can answer is, how do you find good quality of talent there, right? Because understanding the need to have someone versus finding someone who's really good, because I think people make the companies, and so whoever, or both of you can take that as well.
I'll just say that, again, referring to our dear competition in the room, we always love stealing people from them, which know already social and live streaming, so it makes our life very easy. Also add to the fact that they usually hire quantity over quality, and therefore it's easy for us when we go for quality over quantity. No pun intended.
Like a little bit of a burn in that.
It's just a little bit.
That's a nice little jive. What about you, Nicole?
Yeah, I think for us, I think we come with a lot of assumptions, honestly, to new markets. And I can tell you, I just hired a senior user acquisition manager out of Nigeria, and I came with zero expectations. I thought there was no experience on the continent. And it may not be the perfect experience, and it may not be with a gaming experience, but it's close enough if the potential is there. And we also have recruiters on the continent, so that definitely helps us reach these local audiences. But of course, also, you need to build a brand.
Yeah.
The local communities need to understand what you do, what your mission is, and respect you. And they will want to come and work for you.
That's cool. And all of that is anyway you all's problem, right? So anyway, so moving on to, I think we have 2 minutes, so we can wrap that up real quick. We can just go around the room, and any last leave behind notes or even burns that you want to throw around, Dor, for TikTok? One more.
I think you'll be surprised. On a general note, you'll be surprised when you go into a new market what this market can bring to you. We see Tango as the top grossing app on the App Annie/Data AI/Sensor Tower reports in Saudi, in Turkey, in India, and we've been growing significantly in Qatar and Kuwait and all those geos. Where, I think if you look back on the company in 2018 when it pivoted into live streaming, had no idea that those markets will become a significant market for us. And therefore, I urge every marketeer and every app developer to go out and try as much as possible. And they will be surprised where they catch fish at the end of the day.
Wonderful. What about you, Nicole?
I think one of the biggest advice I can give is, even if you have challenges, don't give up. Challenges are there to be solved for. And that's what we specialize at Carry1st. We really come together to solve hard problems. And if there's a market of interest and somebody else has already cracked it or found ways to do it, don't try and reinvent the wheel. It's really difficult to do it. Partner locally and find the right way to enter a new market.
Or just like Tango, copy them and wait for politics. So
copy and do it better.
What about you, Sara?
I'm going to take a mic. Oh, no, I'm going to take this one. So I think that there's really a lot of value in looking at geos that are beyond the US tier 1 obvious ones that you're going into. Really testing and iterating on what's working, spreading yourself thin at the beginning, and then narrowing down on what's working, so you can really find the right market fit for you. I think the two main areas of opportunity are, like what Nicole said, don't reinvent the wheel. If you have competitors that are successful in a geo, then in a way they've led the path for you. That's definitely what happened for us in India. And by the flip side, what we're experiencing now in Eastern Europe, if there's a geo where your competitors are not there, then that is a completely different and kind of exciting opportunity that you can conquer the market because no one else is there.
Let's round it up, Oded.
As I see it, be innovative. Copy the right stuff, but take your own angle on it and stay innovative in marketing, in content, in recruitment. Stay innovative.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I want to thank all of you to be on the panel, answer these questions, these insights, and also for everyone in the audience. Thank you for being here. Or, as I've learned one word, toda. Thank you.